Today, let us learn how to write a business proposal and get what you want. A proposal has a lot of different purposes, but there's only one good way to write one. The way that pulls together all the information in a concise and persuasive way and helps us get what we want, whether that's a whole new product, idea, or a strategy. Any project you don't have the clearance or authority to start without a higher up's approval, you need to submit a proposal. A detailed description of a series of activities aimed at solving a certain problem can be referred to as proposal. That problem could be anything from process improvement, cost reduction, a new marketing strategy. If it's an idea you need to ask permission to execute or get to action on, it needs a proposal. A proposal is a way to pitch an idea and state your requirements. So it's important for supervisors because they can get information in writing and be able to act knowing the full implications of their decision. There are also a chance for you to make a structured logical argument and lay down everything in favor of your idea. A well written proposal shows a manager you care about the cause and it's not just an idea that has come into your mind. Let us understand the definition and the different types of the proposals. A proposal can be defined as a written offer from a seller to a prospective buyer. Business proposals are often a key step in the complex sales process. At heart, it is a sales document that includes all standard information found in similar documents like estimates, bids, and quotes. Business proposal is a document in writing sent by a supplier to a potential client in hopes of winning a project. Business proposals are more detailed because it is typically used to win complicated or unique jobs or tasks. For example, a proposal might be used to win a complex residential landscaping job, or a customer wants a marketing firm to provide a detailed report on their target strategy. There are various types of proposals. Proposals can be classified under solicited and unsolicited business proposals, external and internal proposal. Now let us see what do they mean in solicited business proposal. Solicited means to be requested. A formally solicited project proposal is made in response to an official request for a proposal. In a way, this is the easiest way to create a proposal for a new project since the request for proposal document will usually tell you exactly what the customer or audience wants and sometimes even directions for preparing the proposal. Requests for proposal forms aren't to be confused with project request forms. Though the former is a way to directly react to specific needs and desires, whereas the later is a way for higher management to request a project of their teams. Therefore, for formally solicited proposals, you should take a more structured approach. You have to respond directly to the contents of whatever rough details you have been relayed to you, essentially turning feedback into a quantifiable project which you can then judge the worth of starting. For example, solicited proposals could be when organizations want to buy a service or a process or any technology which would help them to improve their business performance, for which they would contact different clients to submit their proposals to understand the benefits, to understand the procedures, to understand the cost implications, and then decide the best of the proposals which would suit their requirement. The next type of proposal is unsolicited business proposals. These proposals are the one which is not requested. At some point, your small business wants to do a business with larger company. So informally solicited project proposals are the same as formally solicited ones, except the information they are based on isn't set out in a specific document. This makes them a little harder to deal with, but you at least have a rough starting point. It's pretty much just lack of detail that separates formal from informal. Formal proposals request you set details, goals, deliverables, and potentially even methods, while informal ones could be based on conversation. If you have been asked for a proposal but haven't been given any specifics, it's an informally solicited one. Again, the approach for this isn't too different from a formally solicited one, but you will have to put in some extra legwork in defining details like the objectives and method in assessing how viable the whole thing is. A well written business proposal can win the hearts and minds of a target audience. Unsolicited business proposals could be sales interactions or sales conversations initiated by the other marketing organizations who wants to sell their products to the potential clients. Unsolicited business proposals are initiated marketing strategies to make sales of the products. For example, you are a software company and have software solutions for enhancing business performance. So, as a marketing strategy of a software company, you make a lot of sales calls to potential clients to sell your products. And as an outcome of these sales calls, the business organizations who are interested in buying these products ask you to submit a proposal. Hence, these are called as unsolicited business proposals. The other two types of proposals are internal proposals and external proposals. Internal proposal is a proposal for a party within the organization, such as boss of your company or government agency. External proposals are a proposal written for an individual or organization outside your organization. An external proposal is written for an audience that is outside your organization, while an internal proposal is written for consumption inside of your organization. For example, you may write an external proposal to a prospective customer proposing the customer purchase a goods or a service. On the other hand, you may write an internal proposal to management to offer a new idea for a product or service, a new procedure or a policy to improve operational efficiency, or a solution to a problem plaguing your IT department. Once you know what kind of proposal you are writing, you need to research and plan out the document to make sure you don't miss out any vital information. Although what you write will vary a little depending on the type of proposal you are submitting and the format it's using, you will generally want to define your audience, know what the problem the proposal tackles, research the current state of the issue, clearly define the proposal, predict the effect this will have, assess the time and resources this will take, and create an outline of the document. Now let us see one by one each of the importance of each of these. First, define your audience. If you're aiming to get your proposal approved, you need to convince the person reading it that it's worth the time and resource investment. To do that, you need to know who your audience is, what they prioritize, and what they are likely to be resistant to. So the first thing you need to do when you're planning your project proposal is to define your audience. Lay out exactly who they are, what their position is, for example, manager, CEO, potential customer, etc., and whatever you know about their background. This will then let you relate every aspect of your proposal back to them to make it as appealing as possible. For example, if you are pitching a project to your head of marketing, it would take a special note of his focus on data and use that knowledge to pitch with more evidence to back up your points as possible. The next point, know what problem the proposal tackles. While it might be obvious what the problem is in your mind, this is where the power of knowing your audience comes in. Here, you are not only laying out what the problem you are solving is, but you are also linking it back to your audience in terms of what they understand and value. Remember, this is the driving force behind getting your approval. Your audience provides the context, but the problem you are solving gives purpose, a reason to care about the entire project in first place. Write down what the problem is, how it affects what your audience cares about, and how you know that this is the cause of issue. The next point is research the current state of the issue. Before you can suggest a solution to the problem, you need to know what is the current state and what research has already been done on how to solve it. This will let you adjust your own solution and back it up with solid evidence to provide a more convincing proposal. Research how others have attempted to solve the same problem in the past, noting down the core elements of their strategy and what they have found in their results. It might seem like a pain at first, but you might find that your proposed solution has already been tested and failed, in which case there is no point in continuing to write a particular project proposal. Don't forget about the context each of these projects was in though. From the size of the available team to the product or customers the changes affected, everything needs to be accounted for to make sure that your results are valid. Plus, if the person you are submitting the proposal to is familiar with the problem, they will be looking for ways to poke holes in your proposal, and this is a common point for such an event. Relate your findings back to how you defined your problem, since then you will be able to account for differences between the proposals. Next is to clearly define the proposal. Now that you know what your problem is, what's already been done to solve it, and who you are writing for, you need to work out and clearly define what your project proposal is. Don't worry too much about relating it back to your audience. Just yet for now, the focus should be on coming up with a solution to the problem. The key here is not to go overboard with detail. You only need to say what your proposal broadly is and the steps that you will be taking to complete it. The next, predict the effect this will have. Anyone with the power to approve your proposal will likely have one question in their mind after hearing it. Why is this the best solution to the problem? If they can't make the link between your proposal and the problem you have highlighted, you will never get past the pitch. So here, in your plan, you need to lay out your predictions for the proposal and how it will benefit your audience. Using what you know of previous experiments, the current state of your main problem, and what your proposal does, lay out the success matrix for your proposal and attempt to predict the results. Don't be afraid to highlight the factors which could negatively affect your proposal either. Knowing these and pointing them out will at least let your audience know the risks involved and can allow you to alter your proposal before submission to account for weak points. This is the stage in your proposal where you will be justifying your proposal to the audience. So don't be afraid to be harsh and alter your proposal to account for any weaknesses you find. You can't hide them, so instead, do what you can to minimize the risk and improve the predicted outcomes. The next point is assess the time and resources this will take. Progress doesn't come for free. And now it's time to look into the time and resources your proposal will take to complete. This will let you know whether the proposal is worth the investment before even submitting. If you can see that the time and resources far outweigh your predicted outcomes, chances are that it's worth saving your audience's time and not pitching it at all. Being conservative when estimating the time and resources your project will take is surefire way to fail to meet expectations and deadlines. So you also shouldn't sugarcoat these elements. It's better to give yourself room for a little error and be underestimate than to keep everything tight and have to submit a supplemental proposal. Note down what teams will be working on the project, the specific expertise, the various stages will take, and how long their tasks should take them, and any resources beyond these time constraints. Don't forget about each staff member's other commitments too. If possible, you should aim to fit the proposal in with their current schedule rather than take attention away from other tasks. This won't always be possible, but at least make sure you know what you are asking for. And the last point where you need to plan is to create an outline of the document. Finally, once you have all the information you needed, it's time to plan the outline for your project proposal. Don't worry about making everything look nice or read perfectly for now. Focus on getting the core elements of your proposal on one page, then you can worry about the specific language when you are actually writing your proposal. Although exact layout of your proposal will change based on the format you use and how your team usually submits them. In general, make sure your cover includes an introduction that summarizes the proposal and hooks the audience, the problem you are tackling, the solution you are proposing, the method for your solution, step-by-step details, why this is the best course of action, the time and course commitment, and a conclusion which reinforces your proposal. Remember that there is no specific format or an outline of writing proposal. It is based on how you want the proposal to appear for the audience and persuade them to approve or sanction the execution of your proposal. Remember to pose all the evidences and points you have gathered from the perspective of what your audience cares about and in language they understand. When you are pitching to a team manager, colleague, or the CEO, they need to be able to see why they should care about the proposal and why it's best thing they can do to solve the problem. Once you got this outline done, it's time to move on and learn how to write a proposal. Now let us understand the elements of writing a winning business proposal. Like as I said, there is no specific or a standard format of writing a business proposal. It all depends on whom are you addressing and what is the purpose of your proposal. So there are certain general elements that can be used in writing a good proposal. Here goes those elements. It starts from company needs or the introduction, problem statement, solution, benefits, layout, schedule and budget, credibility samples and conclusion. Now let us discuss each of these elements one by one. Now let us begin understanding these elements in detail, starting with introduction. Having a hook in your introduction is vital for catching the interest of your audience. If they are not interested in the proposal from the get-go, then it will be much harder to convince them of the benefits and therefore get their approval. And that's if they don't dismiss the whole document after a glance. If you come across any striking statistics when looking into the problem you are tackling, use them in the first line. This will help to catch their interest and lead them into the rest of the proposal, especially if you can relate the figures back to something they know and care about. Don't make your introduction more than a couple of sentences, 3 or 4 at best. Shorter introductions are not only easier to read, but by limiting the space, you have to work with your force yourself to focus on only the most important details. Hit the audience with a reason to care about the problem. Give a little context on what's currently being done about it, then quickly describe what your proposal will do to tackle it. The next is problem statement, also called as statement of problem or state the problem or definition of problem. Follow up your introduction with a summary of the problem that your proposal tackles and what the current state of it is. Use the research from your plan to spend a couple of sentences explaining what it is, what's being done about it, both internally and externally, and why your audience should care about it in the first place. There's not much else to say here. You need to clearly define the problem you are tackling using the research you conducted when planning the proposal. The only thing you need to remember here is to relate it back to your audience using language and concepts they understand and value. Next, propose your solution. Once they understand the problem they are facing, it's time to present your proposed solution. You need to give both a rough summary of the purpose of your solution and steps it takes to achieve the goal. Again, don't get lost in detail here, as that's a surefire way to make your audience lose interest. Instead, give them the proposed method in a way they will understand and clearly highlight how this will tackle the main problem. Here, you not only need to relate the solution back to your audience, but it's vital that the method is as specific as possible to show them exactly what steps will be taken and reassure them that you have done the appropriate research in what this entails. Next, benefits or justifying your suggestions. Although the value of the solution should be clear from how you have presented both the problem it tackles, it's worth iterating why your method is the best course of action. While this can be done in the previous section of the proposal, dedicating a short segment will let your audience easily scan the document to see the value immediately. In a couple of sentences, go over how you predict the proposal will affect the problem it's tackling, and ideally back up these assertions with evidence from previous similar attempts in the past. Your business proposal should clearly outline the company benefits to be gained by doing business with you. If your, if your small business can meet tight deadlines, state it in your benefit section. Next is laying out schedule and the estimates or budget. If all's gone to plan, then your audience should be on board. Now it's time to give them all the information they need to know what the project will cost and how long it will take to complete. Break down the proposed solution into specific steps with a rough time estimate for each and give a budget which accounts for any extra items, staff, technology, and so on. This will let your audience visualize the timeline and cost of your project as opposed to the benefits that it brings. As such, they need to have enough detail to be able to judge the worth of the proposal, such as the time investment of various team members and departments alongside any funds or items beyond your current inventory. It might seem like overkill to lay out the teams involved and how much time they will be spending on the various stages. But remember that your proposal probably isn't the only thing that they could be doing. You're not only asking for those teams to spend time completely on your tasks, but you're also justifying why they should not be spending that time on another project. Next, defining your credibility. If you want that the client should believe on the outcomes that you will produce for the company or the organization, you should talk about your credibility. If you have worked with clients in the same field or have any award winning business, then third party endorsements will build your credibility. So you can mention any clients in the past that you have worked with and resulted into successful outcomes for those business organization. These parties can talk about credibility of your organization. If possible, you can present certain samples to the new clients for the new project proposal, like a business proposal with samples and evidences of your ability to deliver is vital to gaining the winning bid. Samples will always help you to give an evidence of what kind of outcomes have you resulted for previous clients. A small sample of your work can show your ability to do the work for the present organization. Finally, you need to write a brief conclusion to the proposal. To wrap up your points, remind the audience why they should approve the proposal and reassure them that you have thoroughly researched the topic to give the greatest chance of success. You shouldn't be introducing any new information here. All you have to do is write a few sentences reminding them why the problem is important and why your proposal is the best solution for the resource it requires. Now let us understand the criteria for proposals. Now the proposal is a document which needs to be organized in a proper way. So there are certain basic elements of organizing a proposal. The basic elements of organizing a proposal is it should start with a title page. Now the title page should indicate the title of your proposal, who has prepared the proposal and to whom the proposal has been submitted. Cover letter is a letter to give brief information about the proposal, your intention and your expected outcome that you are trying to propose to a particular client can be mentioned in the covering letter. Followed with a table of contents of your proposal. Table of contents will help you to indicate what are the different topics that you have discussed in the detailed proposal and how should the reader of the proposal reach to a particular topic by identifying the page numbers where the content is being displayed. So table of content plays an important role to direct or guide the reader to reach to a page that he wants to go directly. Followed by the list of illustrations. If you have made use of any charts, graphs or tables, you can mention these lists under the list of illustrations separately for graphs, for tables and for charts, which will help the reader or the client understand where are the particular graphs or charts or tables being used and how do they reach to these tables, charts or graphs directly.
The next is the executive summary. Executive summary is an abstract view of the entire report, which it gives the client a brief understanding of the entire proposal, right from the problem definition to the outcomes that it will result into in a in a brief page. This will help the reader to develop, this will help the writer to develop the interest in the reader's mind by giving the brief overview of the proposal, so that if the client is interested, if is impressed with the executive summary, he will go through the entire proposal. Followed by introduction and discussion, wherein we can discuss the elements of a winning business proposal, and then followed by the conclusion. So this is how you can structure a business proposal.